Bandwidth for This Week in Web Design provided by liquidweb.com.
Today, how do I A/B test my web designs? Do you want to make your web design more effective? Hey, are you afraid of suggesting A/B testing to your clients, to your boss? Or do you think it's too expensive and a waste of time if you're a startup? Yes, you, I'm talking to you. Our guest, Martin Price, co-founder of Productsy, is going to show us how easy it is that even I can do it. Stick around and watch us work. Bienvenidos al episodio número 20 of This Week in Web Design. Also, it's episode 70 if you're following us on iTunes. I am your host, Jose and Aure, Chief Education Officer of the school, which is also CEO. Get it? It's very clever. Always joining us, Aure Guimon, who's a freelance creative director. Thank you, Aure, for joining us.
Always a pleasure.
And also Martin Price, one of the co-founders of Productsy, which is an awesome, cool company here in LA that is being hosted out of, and now I forgot who they are, but go ahead, Martin.
Out of Clearstone.
Clearstone Partners, who are awesome guys and venture capitalists here in LA. Thank you for joining us today. If you're joining us again, we are going to be covering the question, how do I A/B test my web designs? Number one, here's the first question we're going to ask Martin. What is A/B testing and why should I do it? Number two, what are the best practices that I can follow for A/B testing? And number three, hey Martin, how do I set up a simple A/B test, even if I'm creative and slow like Jose? If you're joining us for the first time, this show will help you accelerate your web design career or startup by teaching you the creative business technology and marketing secrets from our guest experts. And I share my 16 years of experience, Aure's 150 years of experience. Sorry, is that too much?
No, it's okay.
Okay, but a lot of experience, let's just put it that way. If you're looking for the tutorial part of the show, I'm going to give you a little secret. The first 5 minutes, we're doing an introduction. The 5 minutes after that, from the 5-minute mark to the 10-minute mark, we're doing basics, where we're overviewing the whole show. From the 10-minute mark to the 20-minute mark, we're going to be showing examples. And at the 20-minute mark, what mark is it?
25, 20.
So for the 5 minutes, the 15-minute. At the 15-minute mark of the show, you can fast forward your little scroller. That's going to actually get you to the part where we're showing you how to set up an A/B test. So if you guys are on YouTube saying, oh my God, can this guy shut the hell up and can you get started? Just, slide it all to the 15-minute mark. In the future, we're going to give you a nice little graphic for that. But if you're one of these people, if you're a student and you're really wanting to get a job in the digital space, watch a show. If you're a freelancer and you want to make more money, not just learn how to code, you want to learn more money, watch this show. If you're an entrepreneur and you want to execute successfully, you're on your first, your second, your third. If you're just starting out, you better be watching this show. And finally, if you're a career switcher, if you're going from legal to banking or another business to web, anything, please watch this show. We're going to help you accelerate your career. We use a concept from Agile called time boxing, which is every segment is timed. And that's brought to us by Crometa, who is one of our sponsors, and they're super awesome. And the problem that Crometa solves for you is that they allow you to track your time without any notes or timers. So the show, I have a timer over here by Crometa that you don't see, you don't hear, but I know that it's being timed. For example, let's say you install Crometa and you forgot that you spent 2 hours in Adobe Photoshop working on a project, or in Dreamweaver, or actually in the new Muse, which is coming up for you people that actually do not know how to code, like myself. If you forget that you're doing that, Crometa will track it for you. You can go back and you can see, hey, I spent 2 hours working that I didn't build. So that's a really awesome thing. And now they have a team edition. More importantly than the team edition, please let them know that you watch the show. If you go to crometa.com/thisweekend, crometa.com this weekend, you can sign up to enter an iPad, which is pretty awesome. There's two things. A, if you email them, you're going to get a 30-day trial instead of a 14-day trial, which is pretty awesome. Thank you, Zach, for bringing that up. The second one is that you can actually enter to win an iPad. Shoot, the iPad, we're giving it away, I think in a week or two.
Oh, wow.
So do it quickly. Do it. Enter to get the iPad so that we can get your emails and harass you. No purchases necessary. The giveaway ends really soon, so please do that. All right, so now let's get started with the basics. So Martin, welcome again, and we're going to go right into the basics. We'll talk a little bit more about you. and Productsy. There's the basics in Chinese. But let's get started. So let's do the first question, like call and response. I read the question, you wrote the answer. So here we go. What is A/B testing, and why should I do it, Martin?
So basically, what A/B testing is the process of testing two web pages to see which one better achieves its business goal. So that could be signing up for a newsletter, or getting someone to buy a product, or getting an email address. And it helps mitigate the risk of working really hard to build a website and not having it be effective meeting its goals. The fun part is it can also help settle arguments between team members, right? Like, so if I say one design is best and you or Aure say it's not, we can settle that using data. So that's cool for us. And lastly, it helps us improve the website by testing different designs. It can be small things like button size and color, but it could also be bigger things like features or flows.
That's pretty awesome, and that's really one of the ones that pertains to people who are designing. Hey, is this design effective? Look, for all practical purposes, you can kind of guess the general thing, but unless you A/B test or you do some other type of testing, it's just a hypothesis. So moving on to the next question, what are best? You're a pro at this. What are you? So people know you've been a product manager. We can call it many things. A product lead for about 12 years, from Yahoo to all the big companies and even startups. So if we could get a big pro about A/B testing on here, you would be the person that we would have to call, and of course we did. But so talk to me about best practices. What are they?
So yeah, I mean, overall, you want to build products that users want to use. That's the kind of high level I would give. And the way you do that, like Bill Gross at Idea Lab says, is test, test, test. And I think that's a great mantra, right? You don't know if a user's going to use your product until you've tested it and proved it. It's really simple to set up, and don't be afraid to propose it. Like, go out and say, look, we think this is the best approach, but have we tested it? Have that conversation. We'll show, I think you're going to show later, how easy it is to set this up. And you can test big things. Create two completely different versions of your design and test out, even if you just got an inkling to say, I think this version is going to be much better than the other. Test it, throw it out there, put some traffic at it and see what users think, and then maybe iterate on the winning one. A kind of best practice as well on, depending on the volume of users you have, is have a test time that matches the kind of number of visitors you have, and make sure it's a decent sample size. So if you have, say, a small number of users a week, say 1,000 users a week, test for that whole week. If you're on one of the major sites, like when I was at Yahoo, we could test things in a number of hours and get an instinct on if something's going to perform well. Sites like Zynga today test in a couple of hours to millions of people. So it's really quick to get feedback, and that's one of the great things about A/B testing.
Thank you so much, and that's a really good point, that you want to test during the time that people are looking at your site versus testing in the middle of the night when nobody's coming. In the last question, and one that's really tactical, look, Martin, how do I do this? How do I set up a simple A/B test?
Okay, so the first thing is you've got to create a hypothesis, right? What do you want to test? So an example you've got here is, I think that green buttons are clicked on more often than red buttons.
And
right?
that's just a small example with a punctuation in the wrong place, but that's just a small example.
I won't correct the English. So yeah, I mean, but we tested big things. We tested will more people search? Will more people buy a product if we change these features? You can test everything from kind of small to large features. And the way you do that is you design and build two different page options. You can use WordPress, Drupal, Joomla, CMS. You can even build it by hand if needed. There's a whole bunch of tools out there that you can use, though. If you already use Google Analytics, Google Web Optimizer is a really good tool that you can plug in. We actually, I've used that in the last few startups where I've been leading the product teams there. And it was really effective to just build out initial, feedback and get results and compare two versions. Omniture, Test and Target, and as well as Kickoff Labs and Unbounce for a really quick setup. You can actually end-to-end set something up in a few minutes with either of those tools and start learning results of one design versus another.
Thank you. That makes a lot of sense. And Aure, you just set up, Unbounce. How quickly did you do it?
Pretty fast.
Within a few, 10 minutes, 5 minutes?
5 minutes, yeah.
5 minutes, awesome. And I spent about 30, 40 minutes setting up Google Analytics Web Optimizer this morning. What did take me longer was actually the pages that I needed to test. But, Unbounce does it for you when you're doing like sign-up pages or, even a product sales page. The other one, Kick, what is it called? Kick someone. Kickoff Labs.
Kickoff Labs.
So, now we're going to transition gently into our next segment, which is examples. We're going to talk about actual case studies. Ejemplo.
范例
Funny. I'm getting used to the Chinese, actually. So let's talk about some examples. And you have, so first of all, at the beginning of this 5-minute segment, spend a minute telling me a little bit about yourself. What is your background, Martin?
Sure. So my background is I've led product teams at a whole range of companies. I was 8 years at Yahoo in London, then in Sunnyvale. Led the rollout of the homepage in my Yahoo globally with a bunch of great people over there. And then I've also recently, last few years, been working in mobile. I built Citygrid's mobile advertising product and Geodelic's mobile commerce platform. And now at Productsy, what we're doing is iterating new mobile and web products for companies and entrepreneurs. So we're really focused on building out and using data to test out the products that the people basically should build. And we're going to be building some tools around that through the year.
And you're not only a guest expert on This Week in Web Design, you're also a client of Aure's. Is that correct?
That is correct. We needed his 150 years of experience.
There you go.
How is Aure? Is he working out, or do I need to do some discipline on this end?
He's absolutely awesome.
I bet.
Thank you.
I'm glad you're getting the opportunity to work with him. It's actually always a privilege to work with Aure. Okay, so let's talk about some of the examples. Tell me a little bit about that last one you mentioned, the e-commerce platform. Go ahead and show me a little bit about that. What was the challenge that you were trying to solve, and how did you do it?
Sure. Let me just share my screen real quick. Okay, so...
And one of the things that I want to share during the examples, or here's a goal. I had the perception, that this is very complicated. So when I got on, with you to begin preparing for this episode last week, it really blew me away that, look, this is not rocket science. I just got to take the time to figure it out, like most things, actually, which is pretty funny. But show us what the problem was with this, and how did you solve it?
Okay, great. Can you guys see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Okay, great. So there's my plug for Productsy. And so Geodelic, we were building a product called GeoDeals. So GeoDeals was it's a commerce site we were testing both in Europe and in the US, and we decided to A/B test the front page of the site, right? So what we wanted to test was if we built a homepage that went directly to one deal, which is Design A on the left, or should we go to an aggregated page, which is Design B on the right, where we showed all the deals available at one time. Now, you'll see Design A is more similar to Groupon. Design B was something new that we came up with, and we couldn't decide which one we should go with. So we decided to A/B test. The benefit for Design A was you were just one click away from purchase. And as a product guy, you're always told to focus on reducing the number of clicks for the user. Design B would put an extra click. You had to click to view the deal and then had to click to buy.
Something that, and Aure, we brought this up, and something that to re-emphasize what the simplest kind of concept of what A/B testing is this better or is this better? And I think that it gets really abstracted when we're talking about web design, because graphic designers think that, it's a layout, right? Versus product, managers are like, no, this is a functional, kind of component. No different than if it was a door and merchandising and a cash register at a retail store. That's easier to grasp your head around, even though you still need to learn how to do merchandising. You need to learn where to put the product, where to put your cash register. If you're if you were an ancient merchant in medieval times and you were an artisanal cheesemaker, like they say in the Bible, blessed are the cheesemakers. Wait, was that Monty Python? Yeah. I think that was Monty Python. But the point is that that aside from blessing the cheesemakers,
That's a really good point.
That it's the same thing.
I've seen shows like where they do just retail, like just setting up stores, and they'll put products that are for kids closer to the bottom because the kids are short, so it's right there. And they'll do different tests of layouts of shelves it's a functional thing. You're trying to get people to buy something.
Exactly, and the Apple Store actually was A/B tested in real life. They built the Apple Store inside a big warehouse, and you could actually have customers come in and test the different, how it was designed. So for our viewers, right there, the camera is right here below the cat, that are graphic designers or that are just more visual or creative people, understand that this is not about whether you're doing a good job or a bad job at making an aesthetic decision, or whether it's really simply about whether the user or not is doing what you want it to do as a business. So we're moving out of an age where we comprehend design or web design as something that you lay out a page and you make it into HTML and then you do that. We're moving to where people need to become a lot more sophisticated about controlling and managing what it is that you do on the web versus not knowing exactly what to do and wasting a lot of time. And we're out of time for the segment, but let's go into the practice segment. Martin, talk to me very briefly as we transition into the segment and I prepare my practice. Well, let's start the practice segment. Práctica.
实践
We need to say them. I can't pronounce that one. So the practice segment. One thing that I forgot a little earlier, right there, because it's not on the graphic there. I wanted to talk about UI, who is one of our testing sponsors. Is easy user testing for any website. If you can do me a huge favor, and we had them on episode 17 talking about user testing as it pertains to script-based, where you're recording the user, give you their point of view as to what's occurring, versus A/B testing, which is a little different in that you're basically not seeing the user, you're seeing the data. So one is with people, which I think is a lot easier to be empathetic. So if you ask at UI, and I think my mic is right in the way of there we go. It's right in the way of the Twitter address, which now means that it's right here.
And I wanted to ask Martin, between the two, what is the distinction and which one does he do more and why? And what's more useful to folks at home?
Yeah, that's a really great question. What do you think about user testing, how UI, you do user testing like UI or versus A/B testing as a product manager?
Well, so as a product guy, so what I was trying to show you was we made the decisions on that side on pure conversion because it depends on the product. At the end of the day, with that example, Design B performed 20% better for sales, and it's an e-commerce product. If it was a consumer product and there's a UI that makes the product more rich and sticky for consumers, and your main focus is retaining users, then you should stick with that.
So I think you should do both. My experiences, and for savings.com, which I think you can show, we did both qualitative user testing where it took a week to recruit the people. Yeah. It took another 4 days to do the scripts. It took about $3,000 to $4,000. We billed the client $10,000 to do user testing. And now suddenly, you have platforms like UI where you just go online, you get your first test for free. They recruit the tester for you. You can put in your script if you have user profiles, which we've done here on the show, in which you can learn, how to do from watching previous episodes. It's easy because all you want to do is write a script. Can the user do what you originally intended them to do in the script that you wrote based on their needs and on their goals? Hey, I need to XYZ. I need to buy some shoes, like if you were going to Sappos. If you're able to do that and you're able to do it all online, it makes it so much easier.
I agree.
So please check out UI. We love UI. They're pretty awesome. And I'm really looking forward to, we tested on the show a few weeks ago.
Yeah. So
check them out. Thank you very much. All right, so moving on. So going now back into the practice segment, and we're about 2 minutes into it. So walk me through what are the key things that you need to do, or I can also even share a bit of what I did. So you walked me through, Martin, doing it on Google Web Optimizer. So if we can show my screen here. So I have, that's actually Aure, I think.
That's my screen.
That's the Aure screen. And you can actually show this stuff there. Here's my screen right there. So right here I have I logged into to Web Optimizer, which is google.com/Web Optimizer. using my already logged in School Rocks account. And I have a Google Analytics account, which we used a few weeks ago to do Google Analytics. So it automatically just went here. And the first thing I did was add an experiment. So I'm going to add another one just to show people how easy it is. And it says, A/B experiment, the simplest way to get started testing fast. So if we go back to the basics, it's, look, we're trying to test a hypothesis. The hypothesis that I am trying to test, and you suggested this one, Martin, is how would someone sign up for a free download, which is a huge way, again, if people understand, free downloads are a way to capture emails and to build your email list, and also to provide the value that you provide in whatever your product or service is to your customers. So as an example, it's like the cheese cart. Today the theme is cheese.
Cheese.
Have you seen the cheese cart like at Trader Joe's?
Yeah, yeah.
Like they have little samples of cheese.
Sampler platters.
Get some cheese, get some cheese.
you
So
go.
little free things like that. It's just like the cheese cart.
It seems,
Go ahead.
oh, no, I was just going to say, I mean, it seems like A/B testing is a lot more tangible. It produces a lot more tangible results than user testing, just because you can tell right away something works versus something else, as opposed to user testing is more, you can tell there's a problem there, but you don't have an immediate solution for it. I don't know if I'm wrong in saying
No,
that.
I agree with you, but here's my experience. My experience is interesting because I don't think there's an absolute. I think that the product manager and the designer has at a discretion both. What I have seen is that for design-focused and creative-focused practices, it's harder to really look at the quantitative data. For me, it's very difficult as a flaky, obnoxious to really deal with math and to quantitative data. So it's a lot easier for me. It's a lot easier for me to deal with looking at a person and having them empathize. And I love doing interviews. And I've done user interviews to find out exactly what it is that user's intent is. Now, when it comes to then looking at the nitty and the gritty, the net, as business guys like to say, A/B testing is going to tell you much more quantifiable.
Exactly.
For savings.com, which you can show a little bit later on your screen, if you found, did you find
Yeah,
it?
I found it.
Let's show that real quick.
Absolutely.
For savings.com, we did both. We did qualitative user testing as we were doing the the design of the product, and press play full screen so that we can see the whole thing. And your computer choked. But
Yeah, I'm getting
anyway,
like
so
a
we
beach
did
ball.
both. You can come the camera back to me. The point is that we did both. But you know what? Let's focus it back to this. So I'm going to bring people back to my screen and let's continue this path. Let's just finish it. No commentary. Let's just finish it. And I want Martin to kind of see this also. So what I did is for the schoolrocks.com. So the schoolrocks.com, you guys, some of you know well. I want to test the free download of a school PDF, the School OS. So I went here and I set up 3 pages, and I dropped in the code into the HTML portion of the post. I'm using WordPress. Now, keep in mind that you have to do some adjustments, and I have a developer, Rudy, who's awesome, and he's helping me on this. So if you don't have a developer, you might want to get one or do things a little differently. But you can do it with WordPress, so you might not need one. So here basically is what I'm going to give it away as a free download. I just did it really quickly as a post. Get the School OS PDF poster. Thank you very much. Name and email, both required. That's the optimal version. What I already know is the optimal version. Then I created 2 to test against, and the other ones are. So here's the main version. What I'll call the hey, this is the one that we think is going to work most as a hypothesis. And it has no image. It just has a thank you, and then name, email, and company. Neither are required. And then the one that we're going to test against that's the most different is going to be this one, which is going to be, let's view it here. I could have gone straight to it. It's this one that has no image. It has a required phone number. It has a required email, and then it has required, like, tell us who you are. So the hypothesis is that we feel that if it's just email and name and email, you're probably going to get a better download rate versus if you force people to give their number and to do all these additional steps, which I have those 3 pages done. I put the tracking codes in there. Well, the first step is to do the 3 pages. So I've completed that step. Go ahead and create my experiment. I'm going to call it School OS Download. That's what I'm going to call it. My original page is that first page that we noted here. which I can choose any of the 3 pages if I wanted to, but I'm going to choose this one as my first page. And I'm going to put the URL for that page here at the original page. And then I'm going to do a variation of that page, which is going to test. And I think, Martin, I sent you an email like saying, holy crap, how does this thing work? You know, why? Here, I'm going to go straight to viewing the page. So here's this variation of it. I'm going to put it here. And I can add another variation. And there's a conversion page, too. So I'm going to add another variation, which is this one. Yeah, the one with the graphic. So again, there's one without and one with, and it's there we go. And then the conversion page is basically the page where you end up at. So what this is going to do is it's going to download the PDF, and it's also going to say thank you to you. So if I view the thank you page, and I set these pages up in like 10 minutes. So for those of you who are going to, you know, comment on YouTube that they look kind of, you know, drab. This is just for the purposes of the demonstration. So there you go. So I have my original. I have 2 variations. Am I doing this right so far, Martin?
Yeah, it looks great.
And I have my conversion URL. And here's the kicker. So you will install and validate the JavaScripts yourself. Bam. Or I already have them in there. So I don't know if it's going to validate for me, but let me just see if it does it. Whoa, it didn't validate them. Okay. So I have one already pre-cooked because I finished it. So I'm going to go back to my original experiment, experiments right here to this tab. And I'm going to go to my first A/B test. And this one's one that I already cooked for you guys. And this is the screen that after it validates, it would show you. And basically now my choice. And I was asking you, like, how the heck do I drive the traffic? So what Google did is that it's actually it's any traffic to your homepage, you can select a percentage of how much of the traffic you want to go to one of those 2 pages. That's awesome. And automatically it'll filter traffic for you for whatever the time period is. Am I right? That's what it's been doing.
Cool?
Correct?
Yeah.
What do you recommend? Like, so how would you recommend any tips for this particular part of it to get the most effective test?
So it depends on your volume of traffic. So I would suggest if you've got like, you know, if you're talking about something that's in the 10,000 range and it's a low risk test, like it's not a big change, try and do kind of as much as 50-50 between the kind of control, which is your regular homepage, and the 2 variants. If you've got more traffic, maybe you reduce that a little. If it's a really risky change, like moving the search box, changing your whole layout, maybe keep it a very small percentage and then increase it over time.
So I could basically, so let's say that, you know, so right now what it's doing is that it's to the primary domain. It's filtering between either you get my homepage or you get these different variations where if I have like a, you know, I set a subdomain up and I have test dot, where I have, you know, schoolOS poster dot, you know, theschoolrocks.com, and now I have that specific, you know, subdomain that I can use just for those offers. When people go to that, and I can push people to go through that either through promotions, through Facebook, and then Google will automatically split them out and choose which ones. That's basically the concept. I get it.
Hey, I have a question. I'm curious to see the results, Martin, of the page that you showed us, the test that you did. Do you have those?
Yeah, let me pull those up. I've just got them in the slide. Let me just switch to that. Oh.
And while you're doing that, Martin, I want to share with everyone a book that I just got in the mail. It's the Startup Owner's Manual, a step-by-step guide for building a great company that I got to do the school, and it's by Steve Blank and Bob Dorff. If you don't know who Steve Blank is, he's awesome. He developed the whole concept of customer development. So he's a driving force in innovation, helping to radically reshape how startups are built and how entrepreneurship is taught. His Startup Manual is the latest edition of that. His customer development methodology helps spawn the lean startup movement. So really check this out. On page, again, you have to be really serious about what you're doing for your startup. And it might not be for those of us like me that's super creative, but I already understand some of the concepts, so I'm digging the fact that now I have this manual. 317, it goes through the whole process of doing A/B testing.
Nice.
All right, so go ahead, Martin.
So yeah, so if you guys can see, here's the results from Google Analytics when we started the test. You'll see October 10th, we started testing both versions side by side, and you'll see initially it was a 40% higher jump, even though we added an extra click in the process, right? Which normally is bad. Normally you don't add clicks for a user, but because a user could find all the deals in the system, we saw even over time, and over time the kind of metrics starting to normalize, that Design B drove a huge amount more sales than Design A.
And it was because you were showing more deals on the page?
Yeah, so our hypothesis was if we show more things, then people would get more engaged with them. And we've done some A/B testing through emails and seen that a list view performed better than just showing one deal like Groupon was doing at the time. And yeah, we found that even though we had a click, giving users that choice meant they could find the right deal for them, click through and buy it really easily. We tested that with 10,000 users over a period of weeks, and then we released it to 100% of traffic just using Google Analytics to push out the remainder of that traffic, that little toggle that Jose showed before.
That's amazing, because logic would dictate reducing the number of clicks, but then that's why you test, right?
That's why you test. Sometimes what you think is the right thing isn't.
Is not
I mean,
the
and
right
I've been
thing.
doing this for a long time, and to be really frank, I tell clients, look, I can kind of guesstimate, but I don't know what
Right.
the real,
Right.
nitty-gritty is going to be when you.
Right.
And again, I want to urge, if you're a designer, if you're getting into web right now, if you're beginning to figure out that it's not just about design, if you're a developer and this is something that you'd like to offer your clients, I would really encourage just getting your feet wet, because it's really simple to do. And the 10 minutes in the segment are up. But Martin, I really want to say thank you for you taking the time. I know you're super busy doing your startup, and I really appreciate that you're helping me learn and share with our audience this amazing, simple information, which I thought it was going to be a lot more complicated. I always think
simple
it's going to
stuff.
be really complicated. I think it's going to be like math and rocket science, but it's just taking the time to pay attention. Anything that you want to share with us about Productsy or anything that you have coming up?
No, just thanks for having me on the show. I think anyone who's interested in doing a test either at their company or at their startup, definitely get in touch with us through Productsy.com. And, this is really easy. Go do A/B testing on your own. Use the tools you guys showed. And anyone can do it, so get stuck in.
Do me a favor, guys. If you're a startup and you need help with this, go to Productsy.com. And the URL is also right below. And check out Martin. He's an awesome product manager and really experienced in this. I would urge you to do that versus spending a long time making up, what you think is going to work and then it doesn't. So thank you, Martin. We're going to switch you over to someone that's going to join us for a few minutes. But thank you for being here. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, Martin.
Thanks, Martin.
Thanks, guys.
So for the last few minutes of today, I'm going to have a special quick segment because I want to help someone that's been watching the show for a really long time and who is an awesome entrepreneur who just graduated from college. And I'm not only excited about having Will Coatney on for a few minutes with us, I'm really excited about talking about Agency in a Box. But there's two things that I want to do just so that everyone knows as we wrap up. One is I want to say thank you to Crometa. And I want to say thank you to our sponsors, if we can bring up that title card, which is pretty awesome. I also want to talk a bit about the producers, what's now called the Inner Circle, and it's the producers program, if we can bring that up, the Inner Circle. I want to clarify some questions very quickly. So what we're about to talk about, the school and the Inner Circle are related, but they're separate. The Inner Circle is for people who watch this show, who want to support the weekly free show, and they want to get monthly coaching calls. Someone like Will who wants to have me and Aure and our guest experts help along. And more importantly, I should forget about us. The peers that watch the show get on a call every month and move your web design practices, your startups forward. It's 1 hour. I moderate it. In the back channel, we talk about things. In addition, you're going to get some of the key things from the school. You're going to get templates for a new business. You're going to get different things. All of that is available for the $50 Inner Circle membership, and then there's a $10 contributor. Again, all that you're doing is not only getting me personally to coach you every month, but you're also contributing to support the show. If you just want some of the basic templates and you'll have your name on the credits and have access to the back channel, $10 is great. Where do you go to do this, Jose? You go to thisweekinwebdesign.com. If you want to really do it short, twiwebdesign.com. twiwebdesign.com. The link is below in YouTube, and I urge you guys to support the show. We have an amazing amount of stuff coming up, Aure. You know about it, and it's going to be awesome. And Aure and I dedicate a huge amount of our time. Now, separate from that, on Thursdays, I'm teaching an hour and a half through the school, which is a new education company that provides a standard process for building successful web businesses to you, to ambitious and creative entrepreneurs, which is a good segue into Will. Will, welcome.
How's it going, Jose?
It's good to finally meet you, not in person, but via Skype.
Absolutely.
Tell me who
Happy
you
birthday,
are.
by the way.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I said happy birthday, by the way.
Oh, thank you. Ah, that's right. It's my birthday.
Happy birthday.
Dang. Will, I'm going to actually, for your graduation, I'm going to give you the official trophy that we've had for the 10 years at the group, and now I'm going to use it here for the show and for the school. And you can't get it, but here, I'll just pass it into the camera. There you go. Congratulations on graduating from school. Who are you, and why the hell are you on the show, real quick?
I'm here to talk a little bit about my company, give my testimony, if you will, in terms of being an entrepreneur, and then talk a little bit about Agency in the Box, which I think you just mentioned. But basically, my story, about a year ago, March 2011, I started a company called Vancoa with a buddy of mine, Mike. At the time, I was playing football, going to school, about to get married, and I figured, you know, what the hell, now's the time to start. Just felt right. I'd been dying to start a business for a long time, so just kind of went for it. And that's when I partnered with Mike. He's a good friend of mine, very, very talented guy, incredible designer, but also intelligent enough to learn how to develop. So I kind of have an awesome in-house designer/developer that's really working out, and we're doing some awesome stuff.
By the way, very nice site. I really like your site. I love the hand done. I love that you can scroll and know a little bit about the business. You have the logos of your clients. You have quotes, what keeps you busy. Then you can go into development, design, animation. Tight. What do you think, Aure?
It looks great.
Sink or swim?
Swim.
I appreciate that.
In one page, I got the whole thing. So basically, you just got out of college. You were moonlighting. Let's not say moonlighting. You were going to college, and on top of that, running an agency, which is
right.
true.
And so basically, yeah. While I'm going to school, the idea for Mike and I was basically let's start this business. We're both finishing up school. Let's lay the foundation of the business. Let's figure out what we're going to do, how we're going to do it, things like that, and then we'll hit the ground running as soon as we graduate. Well, that lasted about, I'd say, a couple months maybe, and I was just dying to find out if I could sell what we were going to do. So I picked up the phone, cold called for about 2 days, made about 25 calls, set 8 appointments, closed all 8 appointments actually, and all those 8 clients are still clients today. We have about 10, and that's what brings me to you guys. I mean, it kind of, go ahead.
Well, when you started watching the show, what have you used the show for? Like, how has the show helped you?
Everything. It couldn't be more tailored to what I'm doing. It was almost overwhelming at first because it felt like every episode I needed to know front and back because it applied so directly to me. I mean, I was a young guy trying to start a business, doing web development, something that I was interested in and knew there was great potential in the vertical. So by watching your show, I mean, the challenge was, how do I apply all of it? That was the most difficult part. I found myself watching an episode at a time, learning from you, Jose and Aure, all the incredible information that I could just apply so directly to my business. It was just, you know what, bite off as much as I can and kind of go with it and apply everything that I, out of the however many episodes.
So, and now that you're starting your practice, well, you already started, and you're an extremely ambitious entrepreneur, and we've had a chance to talk, during the school, and you just bought the Agency in a Box kit. Tell me what are the things that you need, and why are you really so excited about the pre-sale? Look, because people first figure out that this is what I'm doing for you. After a year of doing the show, I said, look, I'm going to now, just like my mentors like Linda Wyman and Lynda.com did, I'm going to dedicate myself to teaching this. And in this case, I have 10 years of experience running my own agency, and 6 years prior to that working at one of the largest agencies, Racerfish, one of the first agencies, actually. We freaking developed the practice in the 90s. So I'm going to stop servicing clients, and I'm going to suddenly say I'm going to share and help you guys get clients. And so when people on YouTube say, this whole thing is a sales thing, this is not about sales, folks. This is about like helping you, about helping Will, about starting a movement to let people know that you're just out of college, but if you're, in your case, extremely ambitious, and you're what I would guess, even though I don't know your FIDO assessment, you're a dorky evil. That's going to be my guess, so take it. Do you think it's a good guess?
Yeah, probably.
Or actually, no, I'm sorry. No,
you're
actually dorky obnoxious, which is also Jason Calacanis is dorky obnoxious. But you have a business degree and you have a computer science degree, which is perfect combination. That's what I'm doing. So if you guys can bring up the title card of what Agency in a Box is going to be, and I just want to talk to Will about all the components in the pre-sale. So Agency in a Box is the entire school OS, and if you can bring up the matrix of everything that's in it, and Will, you can ask me questions, since over the next few weeks we're going to be working together to deliver the Agency in a Box to you. So when you getting started, last week we started with the business plan on the school, and we shared with Stephanie, who actually is the reason why I'm doing this, because she asked me to, hey, Jose, it would be great to have all the stuff that I need to get started in my web practice. And I said, you know what? That's a great idea. And I think the class came up with Agency in a Box as a title. This was about a month ago. And I said, you know what? Let's do a pre-sale. Here's everything that's going to be in it. And Will, the business planning workbook, a guide and resources to setting up your business, all the different things like incorporating examples and plans of other plans and links to other practices and how you can actually see that, and also examples to other resources to help you build that. So getting started is about the business planning at the beginning and everything you need to just get off the ground, the momentum that you need, knowing how big do you want to be, what clients you want to target, etc. Getting clients is about sales. It's about demystifying marketing and the sales process, and a step-by-step guide. I'm taking all of the things that took me 10 years to create for the group. We systemize our sales process. We systemize our delivery, because that's what I read. I read in really great books called The E-Myth and called Rich Dad, Poor Dad. It's like you have to make systems out of your business. And you know what's really funny? That ultimately the whole thing that I needed to do to run an agency like the group that we grew, you were there, from 300,000 in revenue to about 4 million in revenue in 3 years, was really the systems. Team of MBAs, all these people working on that. And now I'm saying, look, why don't I just give it forward and give it to Will so that you can use it. So that gives you an example of some of the things. And if you bring up the slide, we'll go through a few other things. The building a team, how do you do that? Team alignment, how I've done it. I'm going to show you all the examples of both recruiting, but also specific, ways to keep your database. Look, keep a damn database of who your resources are and in the network and what the experiences have been with them. Contract examples for database for that. Contract examples for sales, for your getting clients. Here's different ways that I would do a contract. I'm just giving you examples and sharing them with you. You can reuse them, but please, you need to consult your own legal. Do you have a lawyer, Will?
I do, actually. That was one of my first clients. I traded out with a law firm to give them a website. They gave us legal services.
Bam! That's the way to do it. Barter. And finally, this is not just a bonus. This is huge. The entire School OS from end to end, the workbook and all of this, and a 189-page guide that I put together with our team that goes step by step, everything that you need to do in a project, what the deliverables look like. Not only that, you're going to get examples of deliverables, and I'm adding another bonus. It sounds like an infomercial.
It is an infomercial.
Oh, it is an infomercial. Now I know why infomercials sound the way it is. I'm going to actually give 3 months of free school subscription to you, Will, to anyone who buys the Agency in a Box. It's a great way to get started when you get started. All right, Will.
I think the word that you said, systemization, is key. Ultimately, that's the way you're going to be able to make your practice be valuable. so that you can step away and it can still work. Because if you have to constantly be there in order for it to work, it's not going to be worth as much.
I experienced that, and it was actually a little bit, it was painful. Once it grew, I'm a creative guy. I'm not in numbers, and I'm not I'm not the operations guy and the project manager. I hired people to do that, but it really stressed me out a lot to have all these things happening if they weren't systemizing. And good people are really critical, obviously. You will happen to be the operation. You're the business guy, and you have a creative partner. So you would have been a great partner for me when I was starting the group. And I also had a business partner, a great MBA who was helping me out. How much would you pay for this, Will? We talked about this on the school call, and you told me. How much would you pay for it?
And I thought about it for a while. I thought, was that an overstatement? Not at all. I mean, and I talked to my partner Mike about it as well. And basically, what it came down to is there is not.
Wait, how much was it that you said on the call?
Right, about anywhere from 5,000 to 10,000, depending on what size of a firm you are, and that's starting out what our projects were worth, or what we were selling them for early on, and that's the conversation I had with Mike. It's like, look, this is absolutely, without a doubt in my mind, worth the first project that you do. Whether it be $5,000, $7,500, $10,000, because what you're doing, I mean, you're handing over, like you said, all the experience. But when I've studied and researched, how to run a business, there's a difference between working on the business and working in the business. And you have the internet, this vast array of just copious amounts of data that you can try and organize to help your business, or you can take this and it puts it all together. It takes a huge weight off your shoulders in terms of working on the business so that you can do the most important things, which is acquiring clients and then obviously taking care of those clients.
Awesome. So you would pay $5,000, but during this pre-sale, and again, it's really simple math. All of those kits together, we're going to be selling them after the pre-sale for $1,100. It's easy math for me as a creative. If you have, 6 components, it's a couple $100 a piece. It makes up, the $1,200. But we're giving them for less than, half of that during the pre-sale. $700 off, for $489. And when people ask, why is it that price? And I can't actually even see the price there, $489. Really, basically, it's $500. It's giving it away. All of that, 10 years of my experience during the pre-sale. And here's where you go to get it, guys. It's right here, going to be below. It's actually below, and we're really over time, and this is almost a slightly extra segment, theschoolrocks.com. If you go to theschoolrocks.com, download it. Well, really, I appreciate you being on here, and I appreciate you buying the kit from us. It helps a lot. We're in the middle of growing the school, so people like you who have been following the show for a long time, and people like you who have been taking what we've taught and actually implemented it so impressively. I got to tell you, I am absolutely impressed and in awe of what you've accomplished. I remember the first tweet you sent, like, I don't know, it was almost a year ago, and you're like, oh my God, I thought this is awesome, I'm going to start using it. And you were like going crazy, and I'm like, all right, who's this obnoxious, kid in Kansas City, Missouri? And here you are a year later, you made a ton of money from doing it while you were in college. You did a great job building your site, and I am proud to be your advisor and to help you build your business.
Absolutely, absolutely. What I'm telling my friends and family, it's like I just got to partner with a mentor that I've been following and haven't met for a year and a half. So a mentor that knows what the hell he's doing, and on the West Coast where all the trends are born. So what better person to follow?
Thank you, Will. I appreciate it. We'll talk to you soon on the Twitters. Have a great day, and congratulations on the new marriage and on getting out of college and on starting your business. You're just doing it all at the same time.
What can I say?
You're just ambitious. Thank you, Will. Talk to you soon. Aure, what do you think?
Amazing.
Isn't
Amazing.
it? This is cool.
I'm
excited. This is a lot of fun. I haven't had this much fun since I was at Racerfish. I was telling Jeff Dotches the other day, the founder of Racerfish. So guys, I'm going to wrap up, and I want to say thank you again for you guys staying a little extra for those of you who are watching live. We'll have a few questions afterwards, but otherwise, join us next week when we're going to continue the awesomeness, and you can watch his work.